Hey, you are not going to believe the absolute mess my life has become. Grab some tea, this is a long one. So, you know Mark, my husband, the guy I've been married to for, 3 years now? Yeah, our relationship has always been a bit of a roller coaster. You know that. But mostly we've been happy. Like the kind of happy where you think, okay, maybe he's actually my person. But remember way back, like 5 years ago, when we were first getting together? I had no idea at the time, but he was also seeing someone else, this girl named Chloe. When I found out, and believe me, finding out was a whole drama in itself, I totally confronted him. He gave me some line about how we weren't official yet, so he didn't think we were exclusive. Seriously? I told him straight up, he needed to cut things off with Chloe, or we were done before we even really started. We left it there, and I honestly thought that was the end of us. We didn't talk for weeks. Then, out of the blue, he shows up at my apartment, said it was over with Chloe, that he wanted to try with me, and asked me to be his girlfriend. I was hesitant, obviously, but I really liked him, and after that things were normal. Good even. We had our moments like any couple, but I honestly thought we were building something real. I really thought he was my soulmate, you know. But recently, everything just blew up, and it all started with Chloe. About 3 weeks ago we were out, running errands in the little town we live in, maybe call it Willow Creek. We decided to check out this new little coffee shop that opened up next to the big grocery store. We were standing off to the side, looking at the menu, when out of the corner of my eye, I see a woman walk in who looked familiar. I did a double take, and my stomach just dropped. It was Chloe. This wave of dread just washed over me. All I could think was, please, please, please don't let Mark see her. I was internally panicking, my heart was pounding, and then I heard it. A woman's voice calling his name. And yup, you guessed it. It was Chloe. Mark turned around and they had this short, super awkward conversation. The whole time I just felt myself kind of float away. I was dissociating, just staring into space, trying to disappear. Then she said it. "Is that your wife?" Mark just nodded, and he grabbed my hand. I managed this weak, awkward smile, praying for the ground to swallow me whole. I just wanted the encounter to end. Eventually, she got in line, and we ended up waiting, right behind her. It was honestly so embarrassing. I practically dragged Mark out of there as soon as we got our drinks. That was it for then. I hoped. But then, 2 weeks ago, I saw Mark's phone screen light up with a notification from Facebook Messenger. He never uses Messenger, so I asked him who it was. He mumbled something about an old friend. I pushed him for a name, and he just said I wouldn't know them. My suspicions were definitely raised, but I wasn't full-on worried, you know. I just figured maybe it was a friend from years ago I genuinely didn't know, until a few days later. I was ordering food on his phone, and another Facebook Messenger notification popped up. My blood ran cold. It was from Chloe. I was completely shocked and confused. I went into their messages, and from what I could see, it seemed friendly enough. Just casual chat. But knowing their history, it made me incredibly uncomfortable. I walked over to him and confronted him, asking him why she was texting him. He admitted that after running into her at the coffee shop, she'd friended him on Facebook and they'd started talking. He swore up and down it was purely casual, nothing more. But I told him unequivocally that I wasn't okay with him talking to her. Not with their past. He promised he would stop. I told him to unfriend her right there. He hesitated for a second, which really stung, but eventually he did it. I thought that was the end of it. Again. There was silence from Chloe, or so I thought, until last night. Apparently, from what I've pieced together, she spammed his messenger and even called him, crying hysterically. She told him her mother was really sick. I guess he knew her mom and felt some sympathy. Chloe apparently vented to him about how alone she felt, how she had no one, and just desperately needed someone to comfort her. And then she asked Mark if he could come over and be there for her, and he said yes. I had absolutely no idea this was happening until I saw him putting his shoes on by the door. I asked him where he was going, and that's when he hit me with the whole story about Chloe's mom and how Chloe needed him. I told him not to go. We had this quick, awful argument right there by the door. He was rushing, trying to get out, so I stood in his way. I told him that if he walked out that door to go see and comfort his ex-girlfriend, he wasn't allowed back in. He actually scoffed. Scoffed. And then he just pushed past me. I stood there, watching him leave. It felt like my heart was being ripped out. I went back inside and just stood there for a minute, trying to process what just happened. Then I went to the kitchen and poured myself a few drinks, trying so hard not to just completely lose it, not to call him a million times. About 3 hours later, he came back. I was just sitting on the couch in the living room like a zombie. He walked in, and I just looked at him and told him he wasn't sleeping here tonight. He was shocked, or acted like it, and we got into another huge argument. To cut it short, he said he had nowhere else to go. And I, completely hurt and furious, just told him maybe he should go to Chloe's, since they seemed to be such a comfort to each other. He actually left again after that. I haven't heard a word from him since. I stayed up all night, nursing my drinks, just feeling completely numb and lost. I honestly felt like maybe I'd overreacted, like I'd dug myself into a hole I couldn't get out of. I just didn't know what to do. I ended up going to sleep eventually. When I woke up, I just felt sick, physically and emotionally. I texted work saying I wasn't coming in. It's like 2 p.m. now, and I've just been drifting in and out of sleep, feeling totally out of it. He still hasn't contacted me, hasn't come home. I'm starting to get worried even though I'm so mad at him. His location sharing has been off since yesterday. I keep thinking maybe I should text him just to make sure he's okay. But then I think, is that a good idea? I'm not in the right headspace at all. I feel like I'm in zombie mode, just trying to figure out what even happened, because it all went down so fast. I'll let you know if anything changes. Thanks for listening, seriously. Okay, update time. It's been over a week since I last talked to you about this mess. Sorry it took so long. I've actually been really sick on top of everything. This is going to be long again, but I need to tell you everything that's happened. First off, just wanted to say thanks to everyone who was supportive, and to those who said I drove him away or was being controlling. Honestly, if my husband is going to run straight to another woman when we have an argument, is he really the kind of husband I want anyway? I have standards, you know? And about being hostile to Chloe. If you're okay with your partner having contact like that with an ex, that's your boundary, not mine. I'm not comfortable with exes being in contact, end of story. And the age gap thing with Chloe and her boyfriend she mentioned? I explained it somewhere else, but she lied about her age to Mark originally. I had no idea how old she was or anything about her until later. Anyway, what actually happened? He finally came home later that day after he left the second time. I was just watching TV on the couch. He walked in. We just looked at each other, didn't say a word. He went into our bedroom, took a shower, which is weird, he usually showers at night, but I guess he hadn't the night before, and just went to sleep. I was still so upset with him. I avoided going near the room, didn't check on him, didn't talk to him. I just stayed out in the living room and kitchen for hours. When he finally woke up, hours later, I decided to just make some dinner. He came out, sat on the couch, and we ate in silence. It was awful. After dinner, he finally asked if I wanted to talk. I said yes. and he told me his version of events. He said that after seeing Chloe at the coffee shop, she did friend him on Facebook later that day. He claims he didn't friend her back and just ignored it. A few days later, she sent him a message request. This is when he apparently showed me his phone, though I barely remember processing it at the time. He said she texted him multiple times over several days without him replying. Just casual stuff at first, updates about her life, and then a message that sounded like she was feeling suicidal. He claims he only responded then, because he was genuinely worried about her. They talked a lot apparently, about her addictions, self-harm, really personal stuff. While reading their messages later, I saw she actually had a boyfriend who was apparently 51 years old, which is just a whole other thing. Mark said he calmed her down, and they stopped talking for a few days. Then she reached out again, and the same thing happened. He wouldn't respond until she basically guilt-tripped him into it. When I found out and told him to block her, he admitted he didn't actually block her right away because he was scared of what she might do. But he said he didn't respond to her messages until that night, when she sent really concerning texts and then called him on Messenger. He answered, and he said she was just wailing, screaming in pain. He didn't want to say too much, but he told me she'd claimed she'd attempted suicide by taking a bunch of pills because of her mum being sick. That's why he rushed over there. But when he got there, he said she was acting really strangely, almost like she was pretending. He tried to get her to go to the hospital, but she absolutely refused. After arguing with her for a while, he was about to call 911 himself when she confessed she hadn't taken any pills at all. He was completely confused, obviously, and asked her why she lied. She couldn't give him a clear answer. Mark was about to leave when she begged him to let her explain. Again. She said her mum is the only person who cares about her, and that she just needed someone with her after finding out her mum was sick, and she had no one but him. And that he wouldn't have come if it wasn't an emergency. Mark said he didn't buy it. He even asked her if her mum was actually sick, and she denied it, but he said she seemed to be lying. That's when he finally left. He told me he just sat in his car for a long time after that before coming back home. He said he was exhausted and felt awful, not in the right state of mind to explain anything when he got back. He also swore he didn't go back to Chloe's that second time he left, that he just stayed in his car, got some food and just drove around town until he came home later. After hearing all of that, I just felt completely overwhelmed. I'm someone who needs time to process things before I can even begin to think about making a decision or giving a response. So I just told him I needed time. I didn't really interact with him until the next morning, and even then I just told him I needed more time to myself before we could really talk again. I decided to go stay with my parents for a few days, and that's where I've been. A few days turned into a week, honestly, because as soon as I got here I got sick. So I haven't felt well enough to even drive home, much less process everything, or even think straight. Secretly, I have no idea how or what to do. Like, how do we just go back to normal after this? I still feel so betrayed, and even though he says he didn't cheat physically, I just don't trust him. And a part of me still wonders if he's even telling me the whole truth. I mean, divorce feels so extreme for this, but I just don't know. I have to go back home tomorrow, though. I'm feeling a bit better, and I can't hide out here forever. I have responsibilities back in our town. Even though being here with my family has been a nice escape, it's time to face things. I haven't talked much to Mark, just a few texts here and there, so tomorrow will be the first time we've really seen each other face to face in a week. So that's the update. What actually reminded me to even send this update was something weird that happened a few hours ago. I got a random message request on Instagram from a burner account. It was a picture, and honestly, I was kind of scared to open it. I know, it's probably just some spam thing, but something in my gut just screamed that it was connected to Chloe. I didn't know if I should open it or not. Okay, deep breath. I opened the picture. And it was a screenshot, I think, from Chloe's private story. It was a picture of her in lingerie, with this caption that said something like, "I'll just have to taste me when she's kissing him." I felt sick. I saved the picture, though. I'm planning on sending it to him later tonight. I'm just so anxious about it, you know? Trying to calm myself down before I do it. Someone asked if it's normal for him to shower in the afternoon like he did that day. So it's not. He usually showers at night. I just figured he hadn't showered the night before because of everything that happened. Hey again. It's been a while, I know. Things have been absolutely crazy stressful. I finally have a minute to update you on everything that's happened since. It's been a few weeks now. When I went back home, Mark wasn't there. He was at work. I just felt this huge wave of dread and nervousness about confronting him. I hate confrontation, you know that. And I was still feeling a bit sick and weak. So I just decided to go to sleep and deal with it in the morning. The next morning came. We did talk eventually. It was really awkward at first, just small talk over breakfast. He was being extra sweet, though. He'd even bought me coffee before I woke up, which was a nice gesture. I didn't want to make a huge drama out of it right away, so I just brought up the picture. He actually seemed offended and asked to see it. I showed him, and he said something dismissive like, "Oh, it's just song lyrics, it doesn't mean anything." We went back and forth on it for a bit. I honestly don't even remember exactly what was said, but ultimately I just let it go. I was too tired to fight about it then. I went back to work the next day. For the next few days we argued about Chloe almost every single day. The only time we didn't argue was when we were actively ignoring each other, which was honestly about 90% of the time. I know it sounds childish, but I was just so angry and hurt, and I didn't feel ready to even try to fix things. Getting a divorce. Or separating felt too extreme at that point too, because I didn't have concrete proof he'd actually cheated. It was just a horrible feeling. Work was honestly my escape. My friends and co-workers were there, and I could just be away from the tension at home. I worked as a receptionist at this small independent office. I'd been there for 5 years, and I loved that job. My boss was great, the pay was good, the benefits were amazing. Even with the occasional angry phone call, it was the best job I ever had. Then, out of nowhere, we started getting these weird prank calls at work. It wasn't totally unusual to get a wrong number or something, but these were happening every single day. Someone would just scream into the phone and hang up. Our boss told us to wait for the other person to speak first. After a few days, the screaming calls stopped, but then we started getting calls from different people, all asking to speak to our boss. That was really strange because hardly anyone ever asked for him directly. This happened multiple times a day for several days. My boss usually sent these calls to voicemail because he was so busy. A few days later, I was about to leave work, and he asked me to stay and talk to him in his office. I went in, and he showed me the voicemails. He asked if I knew who these people were. They were all complaints about me. I didn't recognize any of the voices. I told him I had no idea who they were. My boss seemed to think they weren't legitimate, but he asked me to try and figure out who they might be. Because of this, when someone called asking for the boss, we had to ask for their name and phone number. Some people gave it, some didn't. Eventually, these complaint calls were happening every single hour, still all about me. My boss finally decided to just send me home for a few days to see if the calls would stop. They didn't. A few days turned into a week. And then I got the call. I was fired. From what my co-workers told me, the calls just kept coming, and my boss was just sick of having to call each person back. It was easier for him to just fire me. I am almost certain this was Chloe. And maybe her friends trying to get me fired, and they succeeded. That week I was home was driving me crazy. Sometimes I had to be in the house with Mark, and all I wanted to do was scream and argue. But surprisingly, we didn't have any major blow-ups until I caught him doing something. He'd been sleeping on the couch and I was sleeping in the bedroom. I saw him from the hallway on his phone. I realised he was stalking Chloe's Instagram. Honestly, I was just so done with everything. I completely blew up at him. His excuse? He just wanted to check up on her. When I told him I'd been fired and that I suspected Chloe was behind it, he basically called me crazy, said she would never do anything like that. I was so drained I didn't even argue back. In fact, I pretty much stopped talking to him altogether after that. Which is probably why he thought it was okay to come home late one night, completely drunk, with faded lipstick marks and glitter on him. We had another huge fight. And he left. Again. He didn't come back for days. Then, one day, a delivery showed. Up. It was flowers and my favourite food, with a note that just said, "I'm sorry. I love you." He came home later that day. He looked completely distraught. He said he wanted to explain. I let him. His reasoning was that he felt awful about how our relationship was, and he needed to de-stress. He went out with some friends, for drinks, and some girl kissed him, and was apparently dancing on him. He claims he rejected her immediately and felt disgusted by it. I don't know if I believe that part, honestly. I asked him about Chloe, if he was still talking to her. He said no, but she had reached out a few times and he had seen her once. I asked if they ever slept together. He swore they hadn't, but admitted she had kissed him, and he had rejected her. I asked him a million other questions about everything that had happened between us. Some of his answers really hurt. After all of it, I just told him I wanted to separate, just for a little while. He completely broke down, crying, begging me not to leave him. I felt bad, but I had to. I apologised, but I started packing most of my things. He was on his knees next to me, apologising over and over. I just couldn't. I ignored him and left. For the last 2 weeks, I've been at my parents' house. I finally told them everything that happened, and they absolutely despise him now. He's been showing up here almost every day, trying to talk to me. My parents won't even let him see me. They live in the next town over, so it's not like he's far. He sent me food, flowers, gift cards, literally anything you can order online, and send. I've gotten spammed with calls and messages from him. I blocked him, but now he's somehow gotten his family, and even some of my distant relatives to start calling and messaging me too. Honestly, I'm just exhausted by him. I've begged him to stop trying to contact me. Obviously, it hasn't worked. As for what I'm doing next, I'm thinking about divorce. Seriously thinking about it. But I'm just not ready yet. None of this feels real. I just need time to heal, to process everything, before I can even think about making that huge decision. I have a feeling divorce is going to be incredibly hard, and I just can't handle that right now. The other option is trying therapy, maybe trying to reconcile, but right now that feels impossible. I'm currently trying to find a new job in my parents' town. I plan on staying here for a while, until I feel like I can actually move on from all of this. Oh, and as for Chloe, honestly, I have no idea if he's still talking to her or anything about her, and I want to keep it that way. I don't think there will be another update from me. Our relationship feels pretty much over.
Share your thoughts below and don't forget to follow the channel for more deep and meaningful stories.